Okay, welcome to our closing keynote of the day. We already have some individuals joining us. We're going to give people time to get in. While you've joined, we would love to know more about you. What's one thing that you are hoping to learn or achieve from today's webinar? So that is up on your screen right now at your convenience. Please take some time, answer the quick question. Thank you for being on with us for the 2024 Solution Summit. This event would not be possible without our platinum sponsor, Montrose. You're going to hear from them today. It's a wonderful expert panel. Steve Davis is going to be moderating. So I'll be in the back end chatting with attendees. Please feel free to ask as many questions as possible. We'll do our best to get to them today. If not, the team from Montrose will have all of the details to get in touch with you after the fact. And I do appreciate everybody who is already answering our first question. So at this point, I'm going to jump off screen and turn it over to you, Steve.
Thank you, Jessica. Appreciate it very much. And thank you to all the attendees joining our webinar today. For the next hour, we're going to discuss shaping the future, the shift to real-time, connected, and insightful environmental data. First, let's go over the agenda. We've got a jam-packed a jam-packed session. And first, we'll start with introductions of the panel, which will be coming up. We'll talk a little bit about the Montrose solutions and what we offer in the marketplace. We'll follow that with a roundtable discussion between our expert panelists. They all have different backgrounds and different insights regarding data and the future of data and environmental discussion. And then we'll have time for Q&A. For the attendees who have joined, you can ask questions at any time throughout the hour webinar. We may answer them in real time. We may answer them at the end, but we'll do our best to answer all of the questions as best we can. A little bit about Montrose as a company. We are a global public company. We have over 3,500 employees and 95 offices around the world. We serve many different types of customers and industries, whether it be oil and gas, chemical companies, sterilization companies, as well as communities and agencies around the world. And a little bit about what we offer in the marketplace. What makes Montrose really unique and different is our integrated solutions that we can offer. We do everything from test and quantification. We navigate compliance when it comes to whether it's EPA, federal, state, local regulations. We have an entire division that is focused on managing risk, whether that be disasters or emergency response. And today we're really going to talk about and focus on what shapes the future. And a lot of that resides in our data platforms underneath the covers of all of the different solutions that we have. And so without further ado, we'll jump into talking about the data platforms shaping the future and what our panelists have in store to discuss today. And as we jump in, we have a quote from one of our panelists, Matt Beach: "To be a leader in your industry, you need to be collecting quality data today." So let's meet our panelists. First off, I'll start off. I'm Steve Davis. I'm our SVP of Environmental Data Solutions with Montrose. And my background is in data platforms for the last 25 years. And over to you, Matt Beach.
Hi, thanks, Steve. I founded Sensible about 3 years ago. My background's 25 years in the IT industry, 15 of those being in the air quality space, as part of running programs like the EPA's Air Now program and the State Department's State Air program. Ron?
Thank you, Matt. My name is Ron Housman, Senior Principal focused on data management systems. I have a background going over 30 years focused on environmental management systems, and of which the last 25 years focused on data management systems. Brady?
I think Brady's on mute.
I knew that was going to happen. Brady Davis, VP of Technology at CTEH. I've been managing environmental data for over 23 years and solving problems using data and technology. I'm going to go ahead and kick it off today, talking about autonomous data collection. That's the use of robots to collect environmental data. We're seeing lots of companies investing in robotic hardware and software. They're asking for solutions like inspections, hazardous entry, leak detection, site security. Moving along, what is this? What is the movement to robotics? What is the value in doing that? Precision repetitiveness, the ability to conduct an observation the same way over and over repetitively, limiting human exposure to toxic environments, sending in a robot to do an assessment in an area where there may be toxic chemicals, the ability to multitask. We're able to apply multiple payloads to a single robot and do multiple inspections in one run. And also the ability to control all the data and centralize it and collect it the same way every time allows you to do more with interpretation of the data. I want to talk about a case study that we've done over the last year. This is automating leak detection using optical gas imaging and Boston Dynamics Spot. In phase one of this, we were brought in to see if we could just get a robot in a facility and operate it remotely with a technician in a control booth to make sure that we could collect OGI imagery the same way that excuse me, a human technician would do it. This led to phase two, where we sort of took the controls off, and we wanted to have an autonomous OGI mission. This would allow the robot to, on its own, without a human, navigate a specified route and collect optical gas imaging, and then notify us if there were leaks detected. We also added an acoustic leak detection system to the back side of the robot, so we would have sort of another level of validation, right? So we're getting optical gas imaging plus acoustic leak detection data at the same time. We also attached a LiDAR sensor to build a real-time map of the facility to increase the efficiencies of Spot operating within the facility. And that was a success, and we're heading into phase three this summer, which will be production mode and maintenance mode, where the robot is conducting, on a schedule, leak detection routines throughout the facility throughout the month. So looking at current trends and payloads, what we've been seeing, what we've been brought in to do is optical gas imaging, the leak detection space, acoustic leak detection, LiDAR for mapping spaces, HD cameras on board, multispectral and thermal for visual inspections. We've used the arm as a way to interact with the environment. And then lastly, attaching air quality sensors such as photoionization detectors, particulate monitors, or even laser-based methane detections. So we have all these sensors. You've got these robots running around. You've got lots of data coming in. You've got every 15 seconds, you've got imagery, position data, any sensors for gases, and this is happening continually throughout the operation. So, what we end up with typically is massive, libraries of SD cards and SharePoint sites full of CSV files. What we want to do is centralize the data to a single platform where we can easily share work products and streamline the data field capture. We were sort of faced with buy versus build. And coming into the robotic space in the last 2 years, obviously building was going to be a huge challenge. So we evaluated several platforms, and we found that a cloud platform that already exists is valuable in rapid deployment. It's a turnkey solution. Everything is baked in, security and administration. So you can focus on what you need to do with the data. Integration from the robot all the way to the cloud, from the cellular modems on the devices, streaming all that data in real time to an offsite location that's secure. At the end of the day, there's no scurrying around looking for who has the data, where's the data, what, et cetera. And as this trend emerges and continues to grow, we're going to see robots in their facilities, wandering around, taking photos, collecting readings. It's important to have the data in an accessible place. With these cloud platforms that we've evaluated, they all have API services that allows you to integrate, into your business intelligence platform like Tableau. Obviously, a lot of spatial data being collected. You can plug that right into ArcGIS. And we've even connected it to our own in-house systems, like Sensible EDP, which I'm going to turn it over to Matt Beach now with Sensible EDP.
Thank you, Brady. I think right now we're really on an exciting time around environmental data management, almost the brink of one of those revolution moments in data collection and technology. What we're seeing is really two main factors that's supporting this. One is the technology is really becoming more available to collect that data, as Brady just talked about, using new technologies to collect good quality data, and sensor manufacturers being able to deliver that data in quicker frequencies, not just the ability to collect it, but also regulatory bodies and agencies requiring that. Even what we were seeing when we started, 10 years ago, 1 hour data was considered near real time. Even 2 or 3 years ago, 3, 5 minute, 10-minute data was real time. Now anything over 1 minute data is no longer considered real time. And so want to talk a little bit about what we're doing and how we're doing that to help provide insights into that data. First, I'd like to say we're excited to announce we won the Software Cloud Product of the Year and for 2024. And we're going to talk a little bit about how we did that and what we're working on. So really what we've been focusing on is integration. And I talk about that in a couple different ways. I would say over the last 12 to 24 months, the Sensible platform is integrated with over 100 different technology endpoints. It's everything from sensors to drones to satellite-based data, all the way to new technology provided by like Microsoft and Amazon to allow us to process that data in real time and provide our customers with the best of breed of the technology. We really are focused on making sure as these new technologies come out and mature, some of the technologies that are high up on quality today, next week might not be the leader. So we want to be able to integrate quickly to provide that best of breed technology. And the way we take a look at this is really how do we bring all that environmental data, as you can see from this slide, everything from soil, water, air, and even operational data, combine that together and give operational teams data insights quickly and in real time so that they can make decisions. And hopefully those decisions and that data with the new insights is able to limit emissions, increase safety, and some of that operational components that help run these facilities or sites, if you will. And what's the most important part about that is really the operational teams, the maintenance teams, to be able to install it, calibrate it, make sure that that data and those instruments are collecting really good quality data. There's nothing worse than having your instruments deployed for a week, 2 weeks, and getting invalidated data. So making sure we have that quality data, being alerted if there's any problems before it arises. This is a project that's kind of near and dear to my heart as a parent with a kid with asthma. I was working on something else at the time, and a former colleague of mine came and said, hey, do you want to be a part of monitoring air quality in schools for kids And that's, I said, yes, I need to be want to be part of that. And that's how Sensible was founded. And so with this little pilot project, we started with just a couple air quality monitors in schools. I think it started off with 3 or 4 at the beginning, and it has increased in the Denver area to probably over 40 to 50 different sites. And we're bringing in other states and communities. And even the EPA is looking at this as a national way to help share data in communities and help educate the air quality around schools. And so another interesting part of this project is industry. So that was community-based. In the Denver area, there's a refinery by Suncor. And so Suncor wanted to monitor the air quality around the refinery, increase the air quality monitoring types and compounds that's monitored, and then contribute to the community-led program. It's not the community-led, it's the Denver Air Quality District that runs the Love My Air in Denver. But they wanted to contribute to that so that they can help educate and understand community needs around the refinery. So here we have agency, community, and industry working together. And this project, again, started as a small project, and they're increasingly adding new monitors to monitor new compounds. And it's been a very successful program in that Denver area. And I think now we're going to show you another poll question that we'll be reviewing at the end.
Yeah, so for everyone who's joined, poll question number 1, does your company or organization collect air, soil, water, or waste data in real time today? Please select yes or no. And as Matt had noted, we will go through all the results at the end of the session. And with that said, while everyone's doing that, I think we'll send it over to Ron. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Steve. So I'll be focusing on enterprise data management systems. With all this data collected, you want to maintain this kind of consistently. And why? So enterprises are faced with increasing demands for reliable and transparent environmental data. This data is not only crucial for regulatory compliance, but also investor relations, business development, and actually supply chain management as well. The shift towards real-time connected and insightful environmental data is transforming how organizations manage and leverage this critical information. For example, the EPA is requiring more empirical or actual measurement data to improve the accuracy of reporting greenhouse gas emissions. The SEC has defined requirements to standardize climate-related disclosures by public companies. And as a matter of fact, the Supreme Court already decided in 1976 that any data that is financially material must be disclosed. And today we are moving in a direction from climate change perspective. Different regulatory programs such as Subpart W of the Mandatory Greenhouse Gas Reporting Rule and NSPS Quad O-B require the same measurements of emissions, creating a need for integrated data management. Also, investors expect accurate and complete information on climate change impacts and potential risks of their investments. Again, this data that they're expecting is based on the same measurement data that is reported to agencies. Overseas customers must consider emission intensities and footprints of their purchases. Supply chain management now includes environmental footprints, which are based on, again, the same measurements of the data that is being reported to the agencies. Internal and external benchmarking of public data can help identify opportunities and priorities for process improvements leading to emission reductions, process safety optimization, and cost savings. Equipment level emissions data can be used to analyze distribution of emissions across source types and compare this to industry averages and prioritize capital investments. Facility emissions can provide insight into which locations have the lowest intensities, allowing high performers to be the example for the others and low performers to be targeted for reduction initiatives. Reliable and transparent environmental data is the foundation for machine learning and AI to help organizations better analyze data and identify opportunities. Advanced analytics and AI-powered insights can help organizations optimize their processes, reduce emissions, and uncover new business opportunities. By embracing the shift to real-time, connected, and insight environmental data, organizations can position themselves for long-term success and sustainability. By the way, AI requires data, lots of good data. So now a couple of key takeaways from my presentation. There is an increasing demand for reliable and transparent environmental data. Environmental data is no longer compliance data. It is financial and business data that must be accurate and representative based on measurements. Formalized data management systems set up organizations for success beyond just compliance. And within Montrose, as Steve and Matt and Brady already kind of explained that in their presentations, we like to do that from the start until the end. We focus a lot on monitoring and measurement, managing that data, and then performing the reporting and analysis before it's being disclosed or used to identify opportunities for reduction. And I believe now we go into our second poll question. And I think Steve, I think you're on mute.
Yep. Thank you for that, Ron. And second question for the audience, does your company or organization have data silos within the organization? Please answer yes or no. And again, we will revisit all of the answers at the end of the session. And with that said, Ron, Brady, and Matt, thank you very much for your presentations. We'll now enter our roundtable portion of the webinar. And Matt, I wanted to start with you. We talked a little bit about Sensible EDP, the environmental data platform. And how does Sensible EDP work with existing DCS or data collection systems that are already available in, for instance, petrochem facilities?
Yeah, thank you, Steve. Where we kind of fit into that picture is we want to be that environmental monitoring solution. So as I mentioned before, with all these different integrations and different data available, technology available from drones, satellites, other services, sensors based data collection, to build that out inside of these typical traditional systems is going to be very cost prohibitive and even time prohibitive to meet some of those regulations or to get that data into these systems. We're taking that guessing work out for you. We're providing that data, collecting it, aggregating it. You can still connect it to those systems using the APIs. We can provide data or pull data to get better insights into it. But really, we're a piece of that big data picture and able to pull and push data back and forth in those systems, where those systems traditionally, you have your IT security concerns. Then what happens when a new technology comes out? You have to go back through that process again, and really can just be not just cost, but really time prohibitive to build that into those type of systems.
Yeah, and are you using, is it Sensible use like open API technology to get data in and out?
We do have API technology to allow data to flow both ways and meet those real security concerns. So we work with the customer to understand how they need that data. Some customers want the API, some of them just want it, flat files, but we work with them to understand that need and are able to provide that for them.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, Matt. Ron, Matt brings up a good point. Like we take all of this data into Sensible, in and out. And at the end of the day, what do customers want to do with it? A lot of them are looking to do reporting. What reporting do you see the EPA, for instance, is looking for? What do our customers need to submit to federal or regulatory agencies?
Yeah, as I already mentioned, here in the US, there's a greenhouse gas mandatory reporting rule that applies to many industrial sectors, not only oil and gas or petrochemical, but any industry, for example, with combustion. If they exceed certain thresholds, they need to report that on an annual basis. But a lot of that data is not only used for EPA reporting, it's also used for state reporting, compliance reporting at more local level. And now, as mentioned as well, is other stakeholders are interested in this as well, right? And one of the things that we see is that our customers are not looking at this more from an annual perspective, but how can they do this more frequently, even monthly? But not only do it monthly, but do it consistently from month to month, right? And reliably and repeatedly the same way.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Brady, question for you, just trying to change gears. I think you have kind of the coolest presentation, nothing against Ron and Matt, of course. You talk about robots and drones. What are the types of monitoring and measurement tools you see companies utilizing? You talked a little bit about the robots and drones. Like, what are the benefits they're getting from these robots and drones?
Well, kind of what Ron just said was the repetitive, right? You're for the first time in history, we have machines that can operate the way a human does, right? So it can walk around, it can look, it can hear, it can see. But it doesn't get tired, it doesn't make mistakes, and it can do that over and over and over and over and over again, right? So your data quality is consistent. The consistency component is there.
And I would assume that there's a large process safety component to using robots or drones as well. Is that correct?
Oh, definitely. As far as being able to go ahead.
Yeah. So as far as if there's like emergency response, or if there's somewhere you wouldn't want humans to go potentially, I would think that'd be a good fit for it.
Right. We purchased our first robot 2 years ago, and the obvious use case, obviously the obvious use case is hazardous environment entry. We do a lot of emergency response into a lot of unknown situations. And we've deployed Spot a couple times to go into the hot zone to monitor in the place of humans, where it's too much work, where there's heat stress, putting on the PPE. It was much easier just to send the robot in for the initial assessments. It was very successful.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And I think we're all starting to see that in the workforce even today, right? And where are robots being used, and where do you minimize process safety risks for your own employees? Ron, back to you. Again, this is kind of the opposite of robots and drones. It's spreadsheets. Companies are still utilizing spreadsheets that we talk to. What do you see as some of the risk in doing that? Or do you talk to customers who say, yeah, we're going to build our own, environmental platforms and data repositories? What risks do you see, and do you see a need for robust data management systems?
Yeah, we're all engineers and scientists, right? We love our spreadsheets, me including. I probably did more spreadsheet work than I should have done this morning. But as I mentioned, this data is not used for environmental compliance anymore, right? And there's so much other needs than just a single report that, setting up a robust and centralized organized data management system is really a must and a need. By the way, this data, as I mentioned, is governed now by financial rules like Sarbanes-Oxley, right? And to my knowledge, any kind of large company doesn't perform its financial accounting and reporting through spreadsheets anymore. You need to go to a centralized accounting system. And it's my belief that in the future, a fair number of us environmental professionals will become accountants.
Yeah, and yeah, it'll be interesting to see people. No one wants to give up their spreadsheets. I get that, but there's definitely risk in manual error, manual entry for sure.
And consistency, right? You want to do it consistent between one location for the other location. I have actually an example with a customer that they were meeting actually elder requirements at two different locations, both the correct way, but an inconsistent way. And their auditor flagged that and said, hey, that's a potential issue.
Yeah, for sure. The other part, of course, is our federal or state agencies are not accepting personal spreadsheets typically with reporting data. So I would tend to agree with everything you're saying, Ron. Let's take a look at the future, right? This session is called Shaping the Future. At Montrose, we always pride ourselves as being constant innovators. Matt, first question to you. You talked about being at a new time within environmental data platforms, a revolutionary time. What's next? And are you seeing, everyone's talking about AI, are you seeing uses for AI within environmental data?
Yeah, thank you, Steve. I think as Ron and I mean everybody out there is mentioning AI, we're all hearing about it. It's all over the news and blog feeds, and we're happy to announce that Sensible, we have done the initial AI integration. We should be talking, you should hear a little bit more about that coming up. But what we're seeing and where the future is going, and that's why I think people, especially around here, are tired of hearing me say we need to be collecting good quality data. Well, it's really to power some of those AI insights. We want to keep collecting and training our own AI capabilities so that other industries and companies can gain insights into maybe operational procedures that can help not just limit emissions, but also hopefully in the future prevent them. And that's why we're really taking a look at what AI components and technologies are going to be lasting throughout the kind of growth of this, I want to say newer technology. We're year one or year two into this, depending who you're talking to. And most platforms that aren't thinking about that today are going to be left behind in 2 to 3 years, because it's going to be the one that's really doing a lot of the work. And that's why it's so important to collect that data now. What we're seeing, and the biggest insights that we're seeing out of kind of our AI integration is not just maybe thought-provoking insights into the data, but also what data we're not collecting now and we should be collecting to gain deeper insights into that. I just want to say cautiously, with where we are in the industry of AI, some of you may remember this whole social networking competition. First it was Friendster, then MySpace, and now Facebook. So who's going to win and what's going to be the quality AI kind of component in the environmental space is going to be yet to be seen. So collecting that data, organizing it, so when those leaders start to come out, you'll be able to take advantage of them.
That's pretty interesting stuff. It'll be amazing to see who wins the original ChatGPT versus Google Bard and everybody else. 5 years from now, we probably won't know any of those names, as it so often happens. Ron, on the enterprise side, where a lot of your business is focused, where do you see all of this going in the next, let's say, 18 months to 2 years?
Yeah, as I mentioned, I believe we become parts of accounting, and that's already in the process of happening. Also, this is no longer kind of a local kind of thing. A lot of the data will be shared overseas as well, especially those companies that want to do business in Europe, for example, probably need to share this there, and that is going on as we speak, and there will be a significant drive towards sharing more of the data to your potential customers, especially out of the EU. And as we discussed a little earlier as well, is I think reporting this on a more frequent basis becomes super important. And with what Matt and Brady just described is the fact that we can now actually focus on more real-time and accurate data can help us not only with better reporting, but also focus on areas where we can improve and go after our commitments that we've set, right? So we also need to remember that a lot of organizations have set commitments, 2040, 2050 to become net zero. So how are you going to achieve that, right? So using the data that we have to our availability company-wide through enterprise-wide systems helps us to prioritize and get the greatest bang for our buck.
Very good, Ron. Appreciate that. Brady, over to you for kind of the future. You know, we talked about robots taking over the workforce or taking over the world. Do you see a time when companies are going to have to figure out how to manage a robotic workforce per se?
Oh, definitely. I mean, if you go to the Boston Dynamics website and look at the case studies, there are hundreds of them that are happening today. I think in 3 years, every facility is going to have at least one of these. And once the value is seen, the price goes down to get into the market for the robots. You're going to see more and more robots deployed, and the need for management systems is going to increase for sure. Certainly.
Yeah, and so are there platforms out there that actually manage like a group of robots either at a location or across the country?
Yeah, so I talked about buy versus build, and we looked at Boston Dynamics. They have a platform of their own called Scout. It has its plus and minuses. There's an open source platform called Formant, very very powerful, robot agnostic, right? So Scout is just Boston Dynamics, but there's more than just Boston Dynamics in this field. That's just the most popular one right now. And then also a company called Drone Deploy, who was specifically just into UAV maintenance and management, bought a New Zealand company that designed a robotic agnostic platform. That's the one we've been sticking with is Drone Deploy. Very powerful, very cost effective. A lot of detail into data management is really what drove us to Drone Deploy.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. I'd say there's a good chance between AI and robotics, I'll be out of a job within a few years anyway. So wild stuff. Love it. And again, that's why we talk about Montrose and shaping the future. And these are the things that I'm happy you three are here to keep an eye on and figure out what we're doing over the next couple of years. So gentlemen, thank you very much. Appreciate the conversation. We do have one last poll question. If we could put that up on the screen for the attendees to answer. And it is, does your company or organization use robotics or sensors to collect data? And do you have plans to utilize these types of hardware to collect data in the future? Please take a second or two to answer that, yes or no. And then we'll move into the Q&A portion of our session. We have quite a few questions already that I can see. I'm going to just jump in as these came up on my screen, I'll start to answer these and hopefully we can get through all of them. The first one is probably for Matt, is my guess. Sorry, Matt, for putting you on the spot. Just do your best here. Can Sensible EDP track data for multiple types of pollutants all at the same time?
Yeah, that's kind of our specialty, is being able to aggregate that data. So we're monitoring. I know Montrose has a PTR van that can monitor. I want to say hundreds, probably tens to 100 different compounds at the same time. But at most facilities, we're monitoring anywhere from 10 to 15 different compounds at a time. Some of those are one monitor, one instrument by one manufacturer. But generally what you see is you have multiple manufacturers and monitoring different compounds for what they're best at. And we bring that into one place and aggregate that data so you can see it side by side and in the same graphs and alerting features. We even have the capability of, if one of the compounds is high, to look and alert if the other compounds are also high. So there's a lot of complexity in how we can do that. But yes, Sensible is able to monitor multiple compounds in real time.
Very good. And I don't know if this is the same person who wrote the follow-up question. This is a little bit for Brady and Matt. So if you guys could probably take this. It says, can Sensible EDP work with any type of sensor on the market?
Yeah, I mean, we've been successful in being able to integrate. I hate just saying blanket, yes, we operate with all of them. I can say there hasn't been one that we haven't been able to work on or work with and integrate. Some take a little more time, but we have many different capabilities of being able to integrate with data collection, components, cell, LAN, radio, whatever you need, smoke signals almost, to be able to integrate into the Sensible. But we haven't ran into anything we haven't been able to integrate yet, knock on wood.
Got it. Thank you, Matt. Question 3. This one is looks like up your alley, Ron. Which EHS systems do Montrose work with?
Yeah, thank you for that question. Similar to kind of what Brady and Matt said around kind of more the hardware, we're kind of software agnostic in terms of enterprise data management systems. So we actually work and partner with a number of leading software vendors that are out there. And offline, yeah, I'm happy to share more about our experience and yeah, some of the lessons learned with each individual kind of system that's out there.
And are there, and you know, just for the audience, is there a top 3 group of EHS systems that we see out there that we have expertise in working with?
Yeah, we probably have a top 5 that we work with quite a bit, ranging from a system called Enablon, Sphera, Cloud, Cority, Intellex, Benchmark, and I'm probably missing a couple of ones here like Locus. So I'm going already over my top 5 here, but yeah, we have a database of well over 100 kind of applications that are out there. We typically focus on applications that are a little bit broader, that can do all kinds of things, from environmental health and safety to ESG metrics.
Got it. Excellent, Ron. I appreciate that. The next question, Brady, this one's for you. Does Montrose recommend specific types of robots for specific applications, and do they implement them for the customer?
Yes and yes. I mean, yeah, we definitely sort of, we're not in the business of selling robots. We're not robot manufacturers. We're not robot software developers. We are consultants to help implement complex, systems. So, we're definitely call us for your robot project, right? We're knee deep in sensors and payloads, and we've got good contacts with Boston Dynamics. It's a great machine. There's a question here I don't know if it's in the comments or what, but it says, regarding the robot making entry into active process units, what measures are in place for the unit to be intrinsically safe? And that's the only downside to Boston right now, is to Boston Dynamics, is it's not intrinsically safe. Now we've had those conversations, and there's a path to get to that point. It's really expensive. And so we're sort of waiting for that use case to present itself before we invest and go into that road. Hopefully I answered 2 questions there.
Yeah, and I was going to that next question because I saw it was related. So you beat me to it. And hopefully that answered the attendees question right there. We had a couple others here. Let me keep going. This one goes back a little bit, but someone asked, Ron, speaking of spreadsheets, will the Semtech HighFlow 2 be offering a different user visual interface? So Ron, I don't know if you can answer that because that's not really a spreadsheet question.
Yeah, I know how the high flow works,
Yeah.
and it has data outputs, but maybe Brady or Matt have more details around that.
Yeah. Do we have any Semtech, Ron, sorry, Brady or Matt, anything about the Semtech high flow? All right, whoever asked that, let me look. It's Shane. Shane, we will get back to you on that because we do have an entire group that works with Semtech High Flow 2's our OGI team, and they are the experts there, but I apologize, we don't represent that team, but at Montrose, we will be able to answer that for you. So we'll get back to you on that one, Shane. Let me keep going with some of the questions. Looks like another robot one, Brady. How would the robot determine interference? And there's a couple other follow-up questions to it. How do you train on what to look at? Would you need to program a walking path? And are you applying the EPA alternative monitoring approval? So you got about 4 or 5 questions in there, Brady, if you can take those.
Yeah, I'll start with the interference. And I'm assuming like air quality monitoring interference, like we approach it the same way you would as a human. The robot's going to say, hey, I think this is a detection. And those detections are then reviewed by a human, right? It's not going to be making operational decisions. It's just collecting data and sending it on when it thinks it sees something. With air quality sensors, if we start seeing alerts, we can go to the cameras, right? And we can look around. We have 360 degrees. So we get the alert, we go to the cameras, and we see that there's a generator, it's sitting right next to a generator that's running on site. We can say, hey, these VOCs are probably coming off that generator. So really the same way a human would do it, but just remotely. And then all the programs that we've been working on, and there's still a human interaction involved at the last level is when there's just something gone wrong. A human goes out to verify, right? So they're doing the boring work until something happens, and then we're sending the humans in. And so when you say how do you train on what to look at, would the program need a walking path? Yeah, what we do is the LiDAR sensors create a map of the facility, and it sort of gives the robot a sense of where it is, and then you identify the stations of where it needs to go. And so there were different pipe racks and different sections that the technicians were already doing. We just mimicked what the humans were doing there in the facility. So we worked with our in-house leak detection subject matter experts. So we're providing robotics. We had leak detection experts on site with us as we developed this sort of, we call it a route, but it sort of will autonomously walk between points, right? So if there's a car coming or if there's a crane in the way, it's going to work its way around and get to those locations. So you basically set up the stations and then allow the robot to do its own to get in between those. Regarding the EPA alternative monitoring approval, I know that it's something that our client is looking at doing, right? We're still trying to just mimic what the human does, right? So when it comes to reporting, the same report comes from the robot as it does from a human doing it, right? And so we're kind of reverse engineering. We capture all the data with the robot now, and then we're generating the reports as automatically, right, to mimic what the EPA has approved.
Thank you for that, Brady. That's great. Got one more question. This one looks like it's for Matt. You talked about monitoring air, water, or soil. What parts of soil monitoring, and is that actual waste water that you're monitoring for?
Yeah, right now, I think it's everything from moisture levels in soil to there's some new technology about methane coming out of soil using soil monitoring. So really the soil components is around the methane, I think, is more industry specific. Of course, in agriculture and other industries, there's more soil related monitoring, but not really applicable here. I'd say the soil moisture monitoring is around methane. And I know that a lot of different regulatory bodies are looking at what regulations they can put around that with, the waste management industry as well.
Yeah, sure. Within landfills, especially, that's where I'm at. I've seen a lot of articles on that recently. Brady, another question back to you. If camera activation becomes necessary, can it be turned on remotely and controlled remotely?
Oh yeah, for the optical gas imaging, is that? I don't see that question.
I believe it's in reference to your other answer on the robots, but yeah, you can give an answer on kind of OGI or
Yeah, at any point in time, when the robots are on their autonomous missions, you can see them a little dot on the screen moving around, and so at any point, an operator can hop in and take over and look around and stop the mission. Look at the sensor data. So yeah, I mean, remote control it's never on its own without supervision, right? And it's only as strong as the alerts and the logic you build into the reporting. It's a scary process putting a machine that supposedly thinks on its own roaming around in a very dangerous place in the first place. It's take a lot of trust, but we've done it successfully. We feel pretty confident in the platform.
Yeah, I got to think all of these are remote controlled at all times if necessary, just for safety aspects. So I believe that was the last question, Jessica. So I think we've answered the questions. And I know we have a QR code at the screen. If there are additional questions or you need to get in contact with us, please just scan the QR code, or you can head to the Montrose website. You can get in touch with us on LinkedIn. And there's a variety of ways. Before we shut down, we wanted to go over the poll results, if we could post those. Poll question number 1, does your company or organization collect air, soil, water, and waste data in real time today? Half and half. That's pretty amazing. So half do and half don't. I think that will be probably changing in the future. Poll question 2. Does your company or organization have data silos within the organization? Yeah, I thought that'd be a layup. Almost every company we talk to complains about some type of data silo. So not surprised to see that it's 85% that yes, they have data silos. And poll question 3. Does your company or organization use robotics or sensors to collect data? And do you have plans to utilize these types of hardware to collect data in the future? 70% said yes. So it looks like everyone will be shaping the future along with Montrose, collecting data, hopefully in real time, and getting that data into a data platform. But I wanted to thank everyone for your time. I know it's a lot to take an hour out of your day. Hopefully you got some value out of this from our great panelists, Matt Beach, Ron Hausman, and Brady Davis. And we look forward to talking to you in the future. Jessica?
No, thank you so much, Steve. And thank you for the wonderful panel discussion, and to our attendees for being actively involved in our final session of day 1 at the 2024 Solution Summit. We are jumping on for a post-event meetup at 2:30 Eastern time if you'd like to join us. If not, we completely understand. Everyone is extremely busy. Again, I want to thank Montrose for the work they put into today's event, as well as being a platinum sponsor for the Solution Summit. So if you are watching this on demand, or even if you have additional questions for the panelists, please feel free to send them over to us. You'll be getting a survey after the conclusion of day 2. You can always add your questions in there. I can tell you from firsthand experience working with Montrose, they will most certainly be in touch if you have questions or additional comments after. So thank you for being a part of all of the sessions today, and we hope everyone has a wonderful day.